Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from. We are here today with the fine folks from Zomentum. We've got Ben Spector. He is the, I'm sorry, we've got Ben Spector. He's the product manager, along with Deb Kundu, who's the partner success manager. Welcome.
Thanks, Scott. Pleasure to be here.
Same
So
here. Absolutely excited.
we are really excited to hear what's changed. You know, y'all did a demo with us with our community about a year ago, so I'm sure you've got a lot that's been going on with Zomentum in a year. We'd love to hear what's new and how it plays out and how it can help the MSP grow their business.
Yeah, I mean, very much so. So I only joined Zomentum it's about 3 months ago now. And I'm told by pretty much all the partners I've spoken to and everyone internally that what the platform was delivering a year and a half ago was almost embarrassing compared to where we are today and what we've achieved.
Gotcha.
Anecdotally, I ran an MSP till around October last year. We were using Autotask internally. From about 2014, we added QuoteWorks in about 2015, Hubspot in 2017, and sort of generally building out that dream stack within the MSP. I then, once I exited last year, I then joined another MSP as a kind of interim tech director. And one of the problems we quickly identified was that they really needed some kind of sales tool, because they were doing all of their quoting and proposals out of Autotask, which having had QuoteWorks for 6-7 years was really painful, taking that step back to having to do everything out of Autotask. So I said, look, what we really need here is QuoteWorks. And he said, look, I've heard about this other platform that's making some noise in the MSP community called Zomentum. Let's have a look at it. And I said, there's absolutely no point looking at anything else. QuoteWorks have been doing it for 25 years. They're the market leaders. I'm not wasting my time looking at other platforms. And I know QuoteWorks. He said, Ben, sit down. We're doing a demo. And that was like January, February this year. And so I had this demo of Zomentum and it just blew my mind. Like the vision, not just where it is, but the vision and what they're trying to achieve with the platform was just mind blowing.
So just to be clear, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but for the viewers who don't know what Zomentum does, Zomentum, let me explain it to you, and you tell me if I'm dead on it. So Zomentum is a sales and prospecting tool to help to help MSPs land more deals.
Yeah, so we've been unfairly put into the quoting tool box.
Okay.
And I think that it doesn't really do us justice what we're doing. It's a sales acceleration platform, and what that means is it takes you from the point at which you've got the prospect that's saying, maybe, hey, I'm kind of ready for a quote. Maybe they don't know what that quote is yet, but they're at that opportunity stage, and it takes you all the way from that point through doing your sales assessments, creating your proposals, hopefully getting sign off, collecting payment, and then at the end of that journey, pushing it off to the PSA for onward journey, onward management and billing. Or if you don't have a PSA, you can move on to your project management or straight into your accounting tool. And so historically, you've needed quite a lot of tools to achieve all of that. And there's some really great tools out there like QuoteWorks that do each of those things in isolation. But what they don't deliver is a seamless end-to-end process, both for your internal users and for clients. When I was delivering quotes out of one solution and other documents out of other solutions, they arrive in the client's inbox and they don't even look like they've come from the same company. It's different fonts, different colors, different logos, sometimes different email domains. And it just, it's confusing for the client and it's confusing for the internal employees. And so with Zomentum, it allows you to get from that prospecting point all the way through to passing off to the PSA in one integrated platform. And by being integrated like that, obviously we can automate a lot of that as well.
Okay.
So I guess to have a look at some of the stats, the this is one of the really interesting things. Like, creating proposals is a time-consuming process, or it used to be a time-consuming process.
Sure, sure.
On the Zomentum platform, and then this comes from kind of aggregated analytics across our user base, the average time to send a proposal, and that's from the point at which they create the opportunity in Zomentum to the point at which they actually hit send email, is 22 minutes. You know, I used to spend hours of, every day putting together quotes and proposals. So, average time to send 22 minutes. Once that quote's actually been sent, the average time to close that is just 15 hours, which again, it allows you to cut out that backwards and forwards days of emails and phone calls and stuff, and get the deal closed so that you can hand it off to whoever's going to be project managing it, and as a salesperson, get on with that next deal.
That's great.
The next stat's a really interesting one: a 6 times increase in average deal size. And we see that by making it so easy to include options, upsells, cross sells, and in particular allowing clients to edit quantities on their quotes and proposals. We've all had those times where you send out a quote for 2 laptops, and if you only allow them to sign off those 2 laptops, they're only ever going to buy 2 laptops. But if you put 2 laptops on there, but give them the opportunity to edit the quantity themselves, actually, it's much easier, without having to have that communication back and forth. They can just buy 4, they can buy 6. And so, similarly with your upsells, there's no money in selling an HP EliteBook laptop. There's a lot more money in selling an HP EliteBook with a 5-year next business day on-site warranty. So if we can include those kind of options in a way that doesn't force it down someone's throat, it allows you to quite organically increase that deal size.
Makes total sense.
Other one, yeah, it really is one of those tools I wish I'd had back in the day. The next stats are the 2 times better conversion rate, fairly self-explanatory. And 90% of contract won have monthly or recurring revenue. So Zomentum helps you to drive a lot more recurring revenue through the platform.
One thing that you said that really resonates with me, I didn't think about it, but you're 100% right. People aren't gonna, if you send a quote for 2 laptops, they're only gonna buy 2 laptops. But and you're probably not gonna want to quote out more. That's a lot of back and forth banter. But if you give them the option to simply change the quote themselves by adjusting the quantity, that's genius.
Absolutely. So to break it down, Zomentum, the sales acceleration platform, the buzzwords the Zomentum marketing team have come up with: assess, design, convert, automate, analyze, expand. And in reality, what that means is it helps you do your sales assessments, it helps you build your proposals, it helps you manage your sales funnel for those quicker closes. There's a load of sales automation in there because at the end of the day, most MSPs are led by engineers who don't like to sell. So what, can we give them the tools that makes it almost impossible not to sell? So loads of automation in there, loads of analytics to help you understand where you could be making more money. Again, MSPs are not sales focused people. So let's take those decisions out of their hands and just give them the insights they need to make more money. And then the last one is a really interesting one to me, because I think a lot of MSPs are only now beginning to discover the concept of the QBR and really doing that VCIO process properly. There's a lot of maturity happening that, places like the Tech Tribe, there's so much talk going on about the QBR, and we see it in ITBOG as well. And so Zomentum helps you to continuously re-engage those prospects re-engage those customers with the sales cycle. It's much easier to make more money out of a client that's already a customer than it is out of a completely new one that you don't yet have that trust relationship with.
Sure.
And the easiest way to do that is by having those regular touch points, showing them first of all, what you've been doing, second of all, what you need to do next, and crucially assigning dollar signs to those problems.
Excellent.
And then in terms of integrations, we're integrated with all the major PSAs. We've got Autotask, Synchro, ConnectWise Manage, and Kaseya BMS. We're really excited at the moment to be working on a Halo PSA integration. There's been a massive amount of love for Halo that I've seen over the last couple of months. So we're in the process of building that out. Then obviously we're integrated with all the major distributors, Ingram Tech Data, for example. We've got Synex, D&H, a couple that aren't on there yet that we've added more recently. And we cover those integrations, the ones that are relevant to each region: US, Australia, Canada, UK, little bits in Europe as well. Integrate with 365 and Google Workspace so that you can get your emails into the Zomentum platform. You can see that back and forth contact with the client and so on. And then we've got integration with Zapier so that you can plug it into, frankly, whatever the hell you can come up with. If you can dream, if you can dream up a process, we can help you do that with Zapier. And then the last one, super exciting, Hubspot. So many people are using Hubspot for their marketing automation. And by having the integration with Hubspot, we can get that continuous journey from marketing automation through the sales acceleration into the PSA and then off to the accounting at the end. And that to me is like the dream pipeline through the middle of an MSP. Yeah, I mean, let's skip this slide, Deb. Nothing we haven't already talked about.
Yeah.
So I think one of the questions we get a lot is, where does Zomentum actually fit into the MSP business? And so I put together this really, really rudimentary Excel sheet that kind of demonstrates that. And I'm waiting for someone clever and creative to turn it into something a bit more visual. But for the moment, it's the best, it's the best we've managed to do. If you imagine customer stages throughout the business, we wouldn't expect you to assign those stages to all of your customers, but just, so you can visualize in your own mind the stages as you go through the business. So if you're using something like HubSpot, it's going to fulfill that beginning of the journey from the point at which the prospect first makes contact on your website. They're a subscriber, a lead. They go through being marketing qualified, sales qualified. You identify the opportunity, and then you have a prospect. But what happens when you get a prospect? So that's the point at which you'd hand over to Zomentum. And so Zomentum, as we've said, helps you get them through prospect assessment, getting that quote proposal out, negotiation, and you get it won. And then the point at which you've got the contract signed, that one stage, you hand off to the PSA. And then you're going to use your PSA to manage the client from there through the planning, the onboarding, the management, the day-to-day support, the billing. And then at the invoicing point, you hand over to your accounting platform. And you wouldn't expect the accounting platform, QuickBooks or Xero, to help you with ticketing and management and project planning. And in the same way, you can't really expect the PSA to help you with that sales process. And so Zomentum sits really nicely there at the beginning, just before the PSA. And then the red box, which may look a little bit confusing to me, represents the QBR process, like that continuous re-engagement with the sales cycle. So during the management phase of your client's life with you, you want to keep bringing them back round to the assessment point so that you can, get that next quote, that next proposal, and the next contract out of them. And so that red arrow in the red box represents that kind of regular quarterly re-engagement with the sales cycle. So Zomentum isn't just about the one-hit wonder, get the first deal done. It's also got features there to help you get more deals done with your existing clients and help you manage that QBR process from a sales perspective.
So that obviously would be how the integration with HubSpot and stuff would fit in. So because you want to re-engage your existing customers.
Yeah, so we can leverage HubSpot's doing that first bit, or Infusionsoft, various platforms out there, passing on to Zomentum, passing on to the PSA, passing on to accounting, and then just keeping them re-engaged in the middle.
Excellent.
And on that note, conscious I've been talking for 15 minutes now, you're going to have to stop me. Hopefully Deb can share a demo environment, and what people have actually come to see is a demo of the Zomentum platform.
Yeah, absolutely. And just before we proceed from this particular sheet, just wanted to let our viewers know the projection of Zomentum, as Ben was stating, right? Line item 2 to line item 6 is what basically a marketing engine would ideally be doing. And line item 7 to line item 11 is what Zomentum would be doing, taking care of the entire sales process, which currently and unfortunately is getting bifurcated into different tools. And all of them in a combined way is available on the Zomentum platform, right? The idea is to amplify the revenue for our partners and nullify the redundant processes that are happening across different tools to increase that speed and ensure that we are able to automate different aspects of the sales process, not just one or two, but the entire sales process. So in a nutshell, we don't change anything for the MSPs. The stack of tools remain exactly the same, but Zomentum fits in and improvises the entire sales process and keeps PSA as the life center or the lifeblood for managing the supports once the document has been marked on. So before we deep dive into the platform, I just wanted to ensure that this sheet is understood in the or projected to our viewers in the right way, that Zomentum is not just the quoting tool, but a wholesome offering of taking care of your sales engine, right? So yeah, just wanted to add that bit, Scott, and I think we can deep dive into the platform and understand what are the different features that Zomentum has, as Ben was stating. So currently the page that you're able to view right now is basically our sales funnel management, which we call that as the CRM. So you're able to see my sandbox, which has different opportunities spread across different stages of the sales pipeline, right? And this sales pipeline can be customized and curated as per the business process that an MSP is following. So as you can see on the top, a sales pipeline can be an upsell sales pipeline, or it can be a cross-sell, or it can be a new sales pipeline altogether. But all these stages can be customized and curated as per the flow that an MSP wants to create.
And so I'd just add to that, crucially, a lot of MSPs are currently going to be doing their sales process within the PSA. So they've probably already got stages set up in the PSA. So in those cases, what I would suggest doing is mapping your Zomentum, renaming all of the Zomentum stages to match what you're already using in the PSA. And we're going to be synchronizing everything here bidirectionally with the PSA. So, when you drag and drop things between stages, we've probably, a lot of people out there are going to know how painful it is managing opportunities in Autotask and ConnectWise. You can drag and drop opportunities between stages, and it's going to keep those opportunities up to date in your PSA. Again, just always respecting the fact that the PSA is the center of the universe.
Absolutely. My point of view was to give a high level overview, but as Ben said, for the viewers who already know that the PSA is in place, the stages that are set there will be absolutely replicated, and Zomentum will be ready to be used right from the get-go, right? So all the stages in there, PSAs, can be replicated on the opportunity views page that you're currently looking at, the sales funnel management, and they can start it right away, right? And you can drag and drop these opportunities across different stages as and when they progress, depending upon the kind of meetings that you're having with the necessary stakeholders. Currently, the view of the page that you're looking at is called the Kanban view. And if in case you want to have a more personalized view of this page, you can hop onto the list view that basically allows you to add different filters and microscopically narrow down to the kind of view that you want to have, right? Say a sales director wants to have a month-on-month view of how the pipeline looks like, or maybe a week-on-week, and you can choose these different filters and align that view as per your requirement and save that filter for future usage as well, right?
Very nice.
In the Kanban view, as we go ahead in the Kanban view, for every stage, if you want, you can add an opportunity by clicking on the add button. And you can also add an opportunity centrally by clicking on the add opportunity option. The best part here is currently you're able to see some fields which basically capture the relevant information for the client, but you can add and customize any field of your own choice in order to capture that relevant information, because we do have a set of custom fields in our settings option, right? Which basically goes on to saying that For an MSP, it's their process and our platform, and you can customize that the way you want, right? Since we are talking about opportunities, I might just go ahead and deep dive into one of the opportunities and take you to our opportunities view page, which we call this as the bird's eye view or the 360-degree view of what exactly is happening with that particular opportunity. The emails, the calls, the history, the tasks, everything gets recorded here. And in case, as Ben said, we do integrate with Google and Gmail and Microsoft, you don't have to hop around between two tools to manage the email tracking. You can just be on Zomentum and see the level of conversations that you're doing with your clients. It immediately shows up here, which obviously saves a lot of time when you're trying to stay on top of the deal, right? On the right-hand side, you will be able to see the details of that opportunity, and every opportunity is related to a client, right? So all the details will pop up on the right-hand side, and also you will be able to see the documents that is related to this particular opportunity, right? The documents that you have created in the past or the documents that you're going to create. Having said that, this is one option as to how you can access these documents. But the other option of using or looking at the documents that have been created holistically on the platform across different clients is clicking on our documents view option, which gives you the documents that you have created on Zomentum across different opportunities. And before we talk about documents, the most important thing which I feel the viewers would love it is the templates. That's of utmost importance for MSPs, right? When you talk about creating any and every document, you would want to have a template. So if in case our partners are having their own templates, that's perfectly fine. The Zomentum team would convert that into a Zomentum editor format. But if in case you want to get started onto the platform and you do not have a template, Zomentum maintains a repository of own created pre-designed templates across different categories of documents, right? Which allows the MSPs to get started right from the get-go and just create a document and get the deals and the revenue pumping in, right? And yeah, Ben, I think you want to add
I was going to say, I mean, one of the real big value adds here, I don't think I ever got to a position where I was actually happy with the proposal templates we were sending out in my MSP.
Right.
You know, every time I sent it out, you'd be like tweaking this, tweaking that, resize the image. They just never really looked right. So, you know, we provide this library of templates that are completely ready to go, but it's really easy to, you know, to drag and drop document builder, to customize your own templates. And if you've got some pre-existing templates, you know, if you've already spent those years getting them absolutely perfect in Microsoft Word, don't worry about rebuilding them yourself. Just send them to our support team, and the gremlins will get to work rebuilding them for you. Quite handy.
Yeah, this is an essential part.
Together?
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. So I'll go ahead and maybe show our viewers as to how we can get started by creating a dummy quote and probably create a quote and see how it looks like. So yeah, before we get started by creating any document, these are the level of documents that we basically provide, which gets bifurcated into proposal, contract, quote, sales assessment, QBR. And I think sales assessment and QBR is something that Ben is going to touch upon. And definitely it's becoming very important with regards to QBR, because specifically in a scenario of COVID where every organization is revamping and looking and reviewing their stack of tools, QBR comes as a very important mode of upsell for the MSPs if utilized in the right way and the right direction. But currently, I mean, since we are discussing about quote, so I might go ahead and choose one quote, right? And I will hypothetically choose one client just to ensure that we understand how exactly a quote can be created onto the platform. And there we go. So this is already a pre-configured template that I've already chosen. So you would already be able to see a template ready for you with a lot of things already pre-populated and designed by us. But on the right-hand side, where you see the different blocks that are arranged, is how this entire document was created. you can drop any of these blocks. This is the kind of design that you would want to create that template. So our experienced partners, they go ahead and design the entire templates by themselves because the platform is so intuitive. You just have to take the image block and drag it anywhere on the sheet, and you can go ahead and upload the image right from the comfort of your laptop, right? Or the monitor that you're using, if that relevant image that you would want to show up on the document can be added here. So currently, I repeat, I'm using a predefined template, but you can always create a template by using the combination of an image block or probably a video block, a text block, and the different blocks that you're able to see depending upon how you want to align your document. A text block is an interesting thing wherein you can not only just add texts, but if in case you are trying to manage a set of recurring statements which keep occurring in a document again and again, then probably you can use the magic of 2 curly braces, and it brings you to the merge tags, which basically allows you to pre-populate details and use it in a recurring way so that you don't have to type things like client name, my company name, which are recurring set of statements in a document, right? Yep. So a merge tags comes in handy when we talk about acceleration and speed. So I thought I might touch upon that one as well, right? The most important bit, which is the code block, which will be used now and then because the template can be ready, but the code block obviously has to be created for every template that we're discussing right now. So for the code block, if I go ahead, there are 2 options. Definitely you can add a product and you can create a product. But if I go ahead and choose the option of adding a product, you can do that in 3 different ways. You can add the product either from your self product catalog, which basically gets pulled in from the PSA when we natively integrate with any of them, like the Autotask, the ConnectWise, the Synchro or Kaseya, right? And if in case there is any product that is not available in your product catalog, Zomentum provides you by default the Italize search option. For our users, viewers watching this, Italize is basically an e-commerce platform that allows you to search across any product.
Excellent.
Right. So say, for example, if on the top of your mind, if you try a Dell Latitude, then you will be able to see the relevant options for Dell at Latitude showing up here, right?
Okay.
And you can immediately add that to the code block. And once the document gets marked 1, then this gets pushed into your PSA and it gets added to your product catalog. So nothing to worry. If there is a product that's not there in your product catalog, Italize on Zomentum is here to save you and get that deal up and running for you.
So that would save you time updating your product catalogs in your own PSA.
And the most valuable bit of this, obviously, I think we all know that searching a Dell Latitude in the current climate, you're not going to find them in stock for love nor money. But so part of this, it's going to check the stock with your distributors. You use your own credentials with your distributors, hook up with Ingram Micro Tech Data, whoever you're using, and it's going to pull in the currently available stock and the price that you would be buying them at. So you don't then need to go shopping around. You can find out, you can filter this list by stuff that is currently in stock and available, and make sure you're immediately only quoting stuff that you can actually get hold of. It looks like Debs isn't currently integrated with any of the distributors. You'd get a column down the right that would show you the stock and pricing, but you have to have actual credentials of your own, and the distributors refuse to give out demo credentials, unfortunately.
What a what a time saver though, because some old school MSP people like myself, we'd have to, if we were creating a proposal, we would typically have to get on the phone or send an email and get pricing up front before we actually quoted it, figure out what our margins are. Is there anything, I realize that you can't demo that side, but is there anything in there that would integrate, like you could put, I want a 15% margin that would automatically do that? Or can you build all that in, or are you just paying directly are you quoting directly what they're charging?
So when you can set default margins and markups at an account level. So if you want to always default to a 25% margin, which I think is pretty common, you can set that at a default level at the account level. But when you go to add the product actually onto the quote, here Deb's showing you. So that column down the right-hand side, if you're integrated with distributors in the utilized search, it's going to show you those prices down the right-hand side. And then, so Deb, if you go ahead and add a product to the quote, let's take that Dell monitor. Oh, or the wireless keyboard, don't mind.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Can you show where we can set up the margins?
Yeah.
Ah,
exactly. So yeah. So you
Deb,
can add the
edit the product.
Right.
No, so yeah, 3 dots.
Yeah.
Edit product.
You want to edit this existing product, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want okay.
Yeah. Scott was asking about the markups and margin settings and how you can track your costs and price.
Got it. So yeah, you can add the margin here depending upon the kind of cost price and the selling price that you would want to identify, right? So I was trying to show that from the Italize, but then I think I'm showing it currently from the product that is already added in my product catalog. And
okay.
if in case you want to decide the margin, or you would want to add the setup price, or you want to define the margin, all of them can be configured here onto the product details view page, right? And you can obviously customize any of these fields depending upon the kind of products that you're adding or the kind of fields that you would want to have. But any kind of margin that you would want to add here, you can set that up from here and you can define that percentage. And once you hit on the update button, it immediately shows up onto the quote where the product is added, right? And if in case you have like different products added here, you can decide to make those products as optional, or you can also make them mandatory, right? Which gives your clients the option to choose the kind of product that they would want to, and giving them that flexibility and personalization depending upon the deal that you're having with the client.
Okay. Can you actually go in and let's add a 25% markup on this? Let's do it. Let's do it as a markup.
Oh, sure.
I want to see how it's going to look and how easy it is just to add those. If you have like a set markup for everything.
Yeah, you can define a markup as well, and then you can have that bifurcation on the billing period as well, and you see the sell price changing automatically.
Yep.
Right. But the moment you add that, and immediately the margin gets pre-populated as 20, right?
Okay.
As earlier it was 0.0, and you can define that and you can update it, and it immediately shows up onto the.
Okay, so your customer doesn't see any of that. That's great.
Yes.
That's what I wanted to see. The final result, they see is just the price, which is perfect.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
So the moment you add the margin, right, the final price is what gets projected after adding the margin, and that shows up onto the code block. Right. So absolutely, the end customers does not get to see anything. This is MSPs, their maths and their margin that they would ideally want to add onto the code block.
Perfect.
And as Ben was saying, when we were talking about the quantity, if you remember when we were talking and stressing on the upsell, you can always allow to edit the quantity of the product, and you can decide the number of levels, and you can decide how you can ensure that the partner is able to set quantity limits and allow them to view it when their partner is able to view. So you can enable the quantity option, and you can allow the clients on the other hand to choose it by ensuring the number of limits that they would want to increase for the particular product, right?
And on the other
preview option,
on the other hand, if you only had 2 of a certain product and that was it, you could hide that quantity so they couldn't edit it.
Well, you could let them edit the quantity, but you can set them a maximum of 2. So they could buy your stock if they wanted to. Actually, I think that feature must have come out in the last day or 2, because that wasn't there last week, that's for sure.
Okay, good.
One of the joys
of
a 2-week sprint cycle is stuff is just constantly dribbling out.
Well, it looks very, very good. And I see it's 100% SaaS. You're on a MacBook, obviously, and in the everything's inside the browser. Very, very nice.
Right. So yeah, so this is how you can basically add a product, and definitely while you're creating a quote, there can be different levels of products and services that you would want to create. And ideally, Zomentum basically provides you different types and categories of products. So on the platform, you can, like, if you want to create a bundle, or if you want to create a service, or if you want to create any kind of different category of product, then that gets bifurcated and represented in these formats, right? And you can obviously go ahead and create a bundle and pair it up and present it to your client, depending upon which kind of bundle you would want to create. Do you want to pair up a hardware, or do you want to pair up a hardware with software? Customize it and curate it and use these as your different options and categories.
So to me, you know, when it comes to bundling, I think it's most powerful for services. You know, I think in the old days, people would line item their services like support, antivirus, backup, and you know, put all of those things individually on the quote. Problem with that is it leaves you wide open to being picked apart by the client, and you know, oh well, we could save $4 by not taking the backup, or you know, and you don't want to open yourself up to that. So by bundling it, you can still track your costs internally at a line item level. You know, if you create a bundle that has support $75, antivirus $10, you know, you can hide those costs but still be accounting for them internally. So you're just presenting your client with that overall managed services gold package, but internally you're tracking all of the individual line items that you need to.
Very nice.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, these are the two different modes of how you can add a product, or you can also create a product depending upon how the product catalog gets set up once we natively integrate with your PSA. And definitely, as I said, you can go ahead and create options. And even once you have created this, you can drag and drop the order of the product depending upon the number of products that when you create. And you can also define the section name here, if it's a hardware or a software, categorize that and paste it onto the template that was already previously designed, right? Having said that, if there is any block in the document that has to be used again and again for future quotes, then you can save any of these blocks right on the right-hand side. If you can see here on the Save Blocks option, that allows you to use this specific quote block, or maybe a text block, or maybe an image block in a recurring way for the future documents, so that it reduces your A to B approach when you're again trying to use that same block for a future document. So you can use the option of our save blocks and make the most of it when you're creating the documents. Yeah.
Classic example there for the save blocks. You know, if every time you're quoting, you know, basically a support contract, managed service contract, you know, you're always going to offer those couple of options. You could put all of your service packages together into a block, save that as a block. So when you're creating future proposals and quotes, it's easy to just drag on the managed services block, drag on the, you know, sort of medium spec laptop block, and just essentially assemble your quotes and proposals using fairly well predefined blocks.
Got it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, Scott, if you see the image of the product here, if in case the thumbnail of the size has to be changed, something that got launched very recently from a UI perspective, you can set the thumbnail size also based on the size that you would want to have that. So currently you're looking at a medium size just from a enhancement standpoint, so that your end client is able to see it in a bigger way. If you see it got enlarged, and you can have that thumbnail size also set up, right? Depending upon how you would.
Talking about end clients, should we do a preview, show them what it looks like to the client?
Yes.
Have you got a quote you built before that's maybe got some managed services and some more complicated options? I'm just conscious it's not going to look particularly exciting with a
with a keyboard,
wireless keyboard on it.
Yeah. I'll have to check it, because I'm replacing a sandbox with a new sandbox just so that it shows up in a fresh way. Maybe we'll have to preview this for a bit so that we can understand how it shows up right now. Or maybe I can just have a look at it if we have an existing quote, and I can pull it off, and probably just give me a second.
And one thing I'm noticing as you're flipping through the windows here is it's extremely responsive.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think that there's a real trend in MSP tools to be profoundly slow. Yeah, I was quite impressed when I first used Zomentum that it actually works quite quickly. Come on, Deb, you must have a decent proposal in here that we can preview.
Yeah, yeah, I'm just having a look at it, because as I said, we changed the sandbox while we were coming in, so I might not be having a document up and ready with the code. So we might have to go ahead with the keyboard one as to how it previews. All right, if that's okay, Scott.
Yeah, that's fine with me. We'll get the point.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, the preview option, it's important when how you want your end client to see and how it basically shows up when you're previewing the document. But something of a vital usage here is like the end client would be able to see the document and would also be able to interact with the client in real time, or maybe by dropping a comment from the comment section here, right? So if in case the end client has doubt with regards to any service or product or anything on the document, they can drop in a comment here, and the MSP, while he's logged in onto the platform, can view those comments by using the comments option here that pops up here, right? So no need of calling the client or getting on the call or spending that time of follow-up. And instant resolution or instant upsell, or probably an instant way of how an MSP can ideally resolve this by just keeping a track on how the comments basically show up. Right? So this is something which is very utility driven, and a lot of our partners are making the use of it because they don't have to really invest a lot of time in ideally maybe following up over the call and just drop in a comment. And even the MSP can ideally do that. But the point here is when you drop in a comment, the MSP gets notified of it via an email. So even if the MSP is not on the platform, they can always get that email and then log into the platform and look at that comment and probably cater to that necessary requirement of the client.
Can they reply directly from the email, like on a smartphone or something? Can they reply back to that email?
Yeah, they can reply back to the email, but currently, I mean, it makes sense to log into the platform just to ensure and understand what the context is for what the comment is being catered to, right? So if there is a change on that document, they'll be able to log into the platform, look at the change, maybe there's a quantity change or something, because they will need to see the change that has been asked for. So it'll be ideally suggested to log in and see the document and where the change has been asked for, and then probably either reply over email or maybe comment it from the platform itself.
Okay. But just to be clear, if they were in the middle of the desert and all they had was their cell phone and they wanted to reply, and it was something that they saw in the email that they could easily reply to, they could actually, without having to get in front of a computer or break out their laptop, they could do it from their smartphone theoretically.
Yeah, they could email it, but for the they could email it from the smartphone. But currently, I think Ben and team is obviously working on creating a mobile friendly platform
version,
which basically gives up mobile.
Okay, so yeah, I mean everything is great on mobile. I think what that means, we're working on some quite cool enhancements like sending notifications to Teams, for example. You know, we're very conscious that MSPs are living their lives in Teams, and a lot of the clients are as well. So we're exploring ways of sending these comments and other interactions with the platform directly through those, you know, platforms like Teams.
Excellent.
That's right.
Personally, I think it's time for email to die. But I think we've got a long way to go on that, unfortunately.
Right. So yeah, this was a bit from our document section. Ben, do you would want to add here something regarding the QBRs? I mean, since you're actively looking at that, and you would want me to show up or pop up a QBR.
Sure. I mean, let's bring up just the really default sales assessment template. Create a new sales assessment document. So in my if you go to create a document from sales assessments. You know, I think one of the things that people are struggling with, and I see the comments on ITBOG all the time, it's like, how are you doing your assessments? What network assessment tool are you using? And my concern is too many people are trying to use things like, you know, with a lot of depth, like rapid fire tools as a free network, you know, overall IT assessment. And it's way too much detail to go into when you're not being paid for that time yet. So what, you know, if we can turn that sales assessment process into a much higher level but high impact assessment that the client really understands, you know, what we're interested in looking at is things like, is multi-factor authentication enabled? Do they have a managed firewall? You know, is their DNS protection enabled? Is there a secondary internet backup connection, for example? You know, those high level things that really you can get answers to pretty much in a Q&A type format. So if you scroll down a bit, Deb, on this, what we can help you do is present those kind of assessment points within a really dynamic table that we then use to calculate a risk score in the risk matrix up at the top. So here's a kind of a pre-populated example with a load of issues on it. But if we scroll back up to the top, based on the inputs here, it's calculated a risk score of 78, although you can edit that. If you want to be super dramatic and say, hey, the risk score is 95, you really need to do something, you can edit that manually. But then we also create this risk matrix. And so the things that you want to be highlighting to the client are the things that are in that bottom right corner, highly likely to occur and high impact. Let me scroll up a little bit there. Yeah, there we go. And obviously, if you hover over those, the number of issues, like the 2 issues in that bottom right corner, it's going to point you towards, waiting, I don't know, there's a bit of lag on here. It's going to point you towards the section that those issues are in, and it'll scroll you down there. So, my answer to people who are asking on ITBOG, hey, what are you using for your assessments? Use a platform like Zomentum. Don't get a senior engineer spending 2 days of consulting time doing a deep dive into the network,
Right.
scanning WMI, scanning SNMP, crawling the network. It just doesn't make sense. What you need to be doing is presenting this high-level view that the client actually understands and cares about. And, and it takes you an hour to do. One of your sales reps can do it without having to get a senior engineer involved. And then the approach for the QBR is kind of similar. So if we go to create a new QBR document, and we're doing a lot of work on the QBRs at the moment, because I think we need to make the QBR help. I think what we've understood is we need to help the MSPs turn their QBRs into more of a process. And so we're looking at various enhancements at the moment, doing a lot of analysis on the way MSPs are currently using it to help them drive IT roadmaps better and make them more profitable using these QBR templates. So it's quite similar to the sales assessment. At the top, you've got that headline. This is where your risk score currently is, and these are the issues we need to look at. I think as an MSP, one of the things that will really resonate with people here is, when there's been a major outage or something, or one of your client servers has been down and they haven't been able to work for 2 days, invariably they ask, why are we paying you? Why nothing's working? Why are we paying you? The problem is, when things are going well and they haven't had to speak to you for a couple of months because you're doing an awesome job, the question is the same. Why are we paying you? I feel like I spent the last 10 years answering that question. Why are we paying you? And the QBR process really helps to answer that. It's your opportunity to demonstrate the really great work you've been doing, the number of issues maybe that you've moved up into that top left category. You check them off as green, but also show them the things that are still red and amber, and help them start to assign budgets to it in advance. A lot of clients feel like IT is a one-hit wonder. You just pay some money, it's fixed, that's it. Never speak, never need to do anything again. And I think a lot of MSPs find it quite difficult to have those money conversations with the client to say, look, we really need to spend on security next month or next quarter, next year. What these QBR templates let you do, and I'm very aware, there's platforms out there that will take a very scientific approach to the QBR. There's platforms that will really drive roadmaps from a technical perspective. What we're trying to do is help drive the roadmap, probably in a parallel way, but from a much more sales focused perspective. Platforms out there, Cloud Radial, those kind of things, they help you from a very technical perspective, but what they're not focused on is helping you sell more. And, Zomentum is about that end-to-end sales experience. So what you can start to do here is quite discreetly, putting a number in the budget column here isn't as scary as sending the client an actual quote. You're not asking the client for $10,000 to spend on this. What you're doing is quite discreetly showing them, look, we're not asking you to pay us $10,000 to solve this issue. We together need to spend $10,000 on this over the next year. And I think that's a much easier way of having that conversation. You can push things out into the future, like with the backup row on here, for example. A lot of this doesn't really make a great deal of sense in 2021, I guess. But, that with the backup, we can start to say, look, Q3 2021, we need to be spending a couple of $1,000s on it. And I think if you can help those clients with those budget discussions, it becomes much easier. They've already framed it in their mind that, okay, next quarter we need to spend some money on IT.
Yep.
Then you can hit them with a quote,
Yep.
because
if it's
they're kind of prepared
forecast,
for it.
yeah, if it's forecast ahead of time, it's much easier to pull off.
Yeah, exactly. And that really is the focus of the QBR. We're doing some really cool stuff at the moment. Like we're in the process of building an integration with Microsoft 365 to pull in secure score info. So we're going to be, that we'll be able to add a section to QBRs that's entirely automatically populated from secure score. Again, cuts out some of that effort. We're looking at ways of integrating with RMMs and PSAs in different, more creative ways to pull in info that helps drive sales through the QBR. If we almost see the QBR as like a long-term shopping list, if it's got a backup row on there, we're not going to be able to get that backup row off the QBR until the client spends some money. So
Sure.
how can we help surface the right solutions at the right time to tick them off? I was in a call last week and someone quite amusingly referred to it as like Pokemon. The QBR list, you've got to catch them all.
Yep, that's true.
That's right.
Great analogy.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a pretty much deep dive into the sales assessment and QBRs, coming out really important for the partners. Apart from the document module, we definitely have the other modules, and I'll try to run through them quickly, keeping in mind the time that we have right now. So the sales activities is something that is important, definitely for every deal and every opportunity. You will create a sales activity. All the sales reps who are hustling their out for the partners in the MSP community, they want to keep the memory free. And in order to do that, they need to create tasks, they need to create activities, and all of them gets recorded under the sales activity module of the platform, right? All the clients that we have, they basically show up once they get pulled in from the PSA, and they get show up here in the list view, right? So the client's view, again, takes you to a client's view page, which is more or less similar to the opportunities view page, which I was showing you. But this time it's the client views page, and the clients will show you the relevant opportunities that have been created for this particular client as well.
And I see you can see past and previous proposals that you sent out as well.
Yes, exactly. For this specific client and for the kind of opportunities that were created for the specific client. So there was an opportunity view page and there is a client view page, segregating that for the partners. We have a product list view, which basically, again, depending upon the native integration with our PSA, gets pulled in, right? And definitely there are other ways of importing products as well, Scott. You can also import it via an Excel sheet if in case an MSP is not using any existing PSA, right? So you can import and export depending upon, as I was telling you, these are the three modes of import that you can basically have with regards to the clients and the products also. So completely flexible and completely optional. But if in case it's an Autotask, ConnectWise, Synchro, Kaseya, Zomentum is ready to natively integrate with them and pull in your products from the PSA.
Nice.
The sales analytics, the graphical representation of what's happening, right? This is something that, again, will be very vital in terms of an analysis on a high level overview and projection of how the numbers look like, right? And you can use the kind of graphs and the numbers to understand what's happening at the ground level. And it can also be leveraged going forward by the partners. Sales automation, something which our partners really love and they have started using it, and something which basically focuses on garnering maximum acceleration. Now you can create a sales automation depending upon the type of trigger that you would want to choose. So say, for example, Ben is already smiling because that's something that he has already presented to a lot of partners and they have just loved it totally. So say, for example, Scott, if you are winning a particular document, right, and you would want to send a managed service agreement and you don't want to do it manually, then you can actually create a sales automation for it by creating maybe an opportunity and marking it one, and ensuring that the necessary action that you send is basically send a relevant email or a document, depending upon the kind of automation that you would want to set up. But the main point here is that you can have different levels of automation. You can also send a thank you email when the opportunity just shows up as a prospect, or you can also create different levels of automation using the if-else trigger combination, the trigger and the action combination, to ensure that your redundant activities are minimized, right? And you're able to automate a lot of things. easily.
Nice.
So say, for example, I mean, if I just hop back to our opportunities view page where I was showing you, if in case I drag and drop an opportunity here from the prospect to the one stage, and if I've already enabled my sales automation, then the moment I put this banner here onto the one stage, immediately an email will be shooted to the client saying a thanking email, or maybe it can be an MSP agreement or a managed service agreement as well, right?
Okay.
So the sales automation comes in very handy for our partners. And by the way, since this is a sandbox, so you're not able to see it, once the partner comes onto the Zomentum platform, we have a list of already created 20 sales automation that can be leveraged by the partners depending upon their use cases.
Very nice.
Right? I mean, do you want to add something here, Ben? Something on the top of your mind?
No, not really at all. I'm just conscious we're kind of reaching the top of the hour. We've probably managed to cover off most of the platform. I mean, there's a hell of a lot more you could go into, but would be at all midnight UK time. I think that's probably another 10 hours from where you are. But yeah, we'd encourage any ITBOG members to book a demo. We've set up a link, zomentum.com/ITBOG. We're doing an exclusive 20% off first year costs, exclusively for ITBOG members. But also we thought it would be particularly valuable to give away a couple of hours of free Sandler IT sort of sales training, which I think adds quite a lot of value. I don't know if you've heard of Sandler organization. They're a big training organization. So they can get a couple of hours of sales training free with that as well. And of course, onboarding is completely free. So
excellent.
Have a look at it, get in touch with us, let us give you a bit more of a deep dive, answer your own questions. If anyone's got any workflow type issues, one of the things I didn't realize till after I'd left, but what I spent the most of my time doing at my MSP was working on the internal tools, way more than the client projects and stuff. I just spent so much time playing around with automating the hell out of everything when it came to Autotask. Real passion for that. So if anyone's got any weird use cases out there that they want to explore, very happy, get in touch with me directly, and I'd love to spend some time mapping stuff out with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for the broad overview. This was really, really good. And I do see a lot of changes in the platform from the last year when we did this. So we certainly appreciate your time today. And again, if anyone has any questions or you want to sign up for the free demo, just go to zomentum.com/ITBOG and get in touch with Ben. Let him know that you watched the demo and you'd like to sign up, like the free trial. So thank you so much for your time. And if anybody has any questions, we can take them later. So thanks so much.
Brilliant.
Have a great day,
guys.
All right.
Bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you, Scott.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Bye-bye.